I have a question. Is it possible for this show, all 7 seasons of it, to be brought to 4K? The Blu-ray of Star Trek The Next Generation is one of the best restorations I've ever seen of anything. And so would it be possible just to get a little bit more out of it and get this on 4K disc? That's my question. Engage. So if you look at the back of this thing and the list of special features, you'll see this one right here, Energized, taking the Next Generation to the next level. This thing goes through in incredible detail how they actually did the restoration. So my question is, could they bring it to 4K? So we're going to look at some of the stuff they say and show in this little special to see how it could be possible to do the show on 4K. But first, a quick overview of the problem. So they filmed the show on 35 millimeter, and then they assembled it on videotape with the special effects. So in order to bring it up to 1080p HD Blu-ray, they had to rescan all the film, and they actually had to remake all the special effects that weren't captured in film. So right here you can hear the Akudas talking about how they had to just build the show from the ground up.
It couldn't resolve that much on the television.
The show was originally edited on standard def videotape, and so to upgrade the show to high definition, you have to rescan and rebuild the entire series. That's a hugely complicated task.
But I think the reason this show is so enjoyable to watch on Blu-ray is because all of that detail that was captured on the film. So other than the fact that the show's just such a joy to watch anyway, but now you can just look at all the details of everything and the fine craftsmanship that went into all the sets and all the props and everything. So just the fact that all the details sitting there on the film waiting for us to go find it.
But when you go back in and look at the standard F copy and see what's coming out of the film, it is pretty remarkable. Just in terms of the visual effects, all the detail in the models, lights that pretty much weren't there are there now. So when you were used to seeing the standard F stuff, the most surprising for us, even being in visual effects, was how much resolution, how much detail was really always captured on film that has really been gone for 25 years.
So the major question on my mind with this thing is, what resolution did they scan it at? And after watching this special and pausing it on some of their work on their computers, I think they only scanned it in 2K or 1080p.
They want to do it right. They want to find everything. They want to put it together. They want to make it perfect. They want everybody to be happy. This is for the fans.
We had the Akudas involved in the original series, and we brought them in on this one as well because they have such a name with the fans.
From that last clip, you can see at the bottom it says 23.976 frames per second, which is the same as, it's like 24 frames per second, which is how fast the film goes through when it's filming. So that screen that we saw that showed the 1080p resolution, that's either just their working resolution and that doesn't represent the actual scan, or, which is what I hope didn't happen, is that they didn't scan it in 4K. And another question I have is, when they rebuilt the episodes, was that done entirely digital, or did they actually cut and splice some film together and then scan the episode in order right off the film? Because if they recut the film and then scanned it, you can go back and scan those again at 4K. Because I don't think it would be worth it just to get like an upconverted set. I think either a rescan or just going back to the original file, which hopefully would be 4K. But I'm suspecting it's not, based on those last few shots.
My name's Wade Felker, and I'm scanning the film for Star Trek The Next Generation from the original 35mm uncut raw dailies footage.
And the negative was really well exposed. It's a good, healthy negative. It's been stored well, and we're able to get a really nice picture out of it. It's the only way to go if we're going to bring these episodes back into the high definition.
So yeah, from that last clip, I can't see what resolution they're scanning it, and the only thing that they keep saying when they're talking about scanning it is bringing it to HD, or scanning it in HD, or scanning it for Blu-ray. So all things point that it's a 2K scan. However, if they built the film, like they keep saying, if they actually spliced together the film and scanned it, then they could just go grab it out of the can and rescan the negative at 4K.
In order for us to build this from the ground up, we're going through each can, finding all the different visual effects, blue screen, model shots, matte paintings, literally going in there and rebuilding, rescanning each element, starting from scratch as if we were doing it for the first time.
So speaking of what that guy just said, the special effects, right? So some of the special effects were actually caught on film, so they just have to layer those multiple film passes, and then you have it. But I think the real problem is where for the remastered Blu-ray, like you can see on the back with the new special effects, is they went in and in HD created the new special effects. So I think the problem comes back to the special effects once again. When they created their new master, did they put it onto 35 millimeter, including the new special effects, so that you could just take that whole thing and just scan it in 4K, and then if you had a 4K disc of it, the special effects would just look a little bit softer because they're from 1080p, but at least it would still be off of a film scan? My guess is they did not assemble an actual 35 millimeter cut of the film. My guess is they scanned all the pieces and assembled it on the computer. Now, as far as the audio goes on the set, they took the original audio and just expanded it out into 7.1. So I don't think it would be that big of a deal to expand it again out into Atmos. However, 7.1 on this old 90s, or I guess late 80s and 90s show, is plenty, and it sounds incredible. They created an amazing mix. So I wouldn't care if a 4K had the same 7.1 mix. Honestly, it'd be cool to have the original mix, but so like if cost is an issue, spoiler alert, it totally is an issue, then you could just keep the original or the new 7.1 track. However, they could use the same process as before and just expand it out further up to Dolby Atmos. Okay, speaking of money, so the way to bring Star Trek The Next Generation, the TV show, to 4K, if money is no object, is you rescan at 4K, because they probably don't have those, and then you redo the FX again at 4K. However, you have the groundwork of the 1080p ones, so you can just take those elements and then transfer them over and make them 4K, and then expand the audio. So that would be bringing this to, and then of course do like a Dolby Vision pass. So that would be bringing this to 4K. Money's no object. All right. So according to the Wikipedia article about the Blu-ray, this thing cost $12 million to remaster, and it was deemed a failure. And because it was deemed a failure, it seems that the powers that be are swearing off doing this for DS9 and Voyager. All right, so I've been talking putting it on 4K if money's no object, which clearly, according to that, it was kind of a failed project, which is really sad. So there's a few things you could do. You can crowdfund each season and be like, okay, get your pre-order in. It's like $80 a season or whatever it is. And like, if we reach this many pre-orders, like the remaster process goes. And they could just do that per season and just put the financial burden on the fans for them to kind of prepay for it. If the episodes were built again on 35 millimeter, you could scan that at 4K, like I said, and you have the amazing 4K image off of the 35 millimeter, and then you have a slightly softer special effects. You're good to go. If the scans are in 4K, then you can try to just upconvert the special effects or just port them right over and they'll be softer. So based on their previous efforts and based on the fact that they did not make the money that they wanted to make and the fact that we haven't even seen DS9 or Voyager, I do not feel very hopeful that this will be on 4K. However, they were filmed on 35 millimeter, so the vast majority of every episode of this show is sitting on a 35 millimeter, which, when scanned properly, translates beautifully to 4K UHD. So, there's a few questions. What resolution was it originally scanned at? Did they rebuild it physically? Or is it all digital? If it is all in 1080p digitally and they didn't rebuild it, then that would be a huge amount of work to bring these to 4K. If the scan's already there, then most of the work's already done. So what do you think? I want to have a discussion about this. I know it's been talked about for the last decade, but I'm just trying to think how this could actually happen, because people want to see it on 4K, but how? From the state that it's in right now, which is probably a lot better than it was prior to the remaster as far as all the original elements go, to what we could actually do to this thing. So do you think that this is at all possible to take their old scans or to make new scans and get a 4K disc of this thing. I want to hope yes, but I'm leaning towards no. And then could we not just use the same idea of like pre-buying each season for Voyager and DS9? Like they just announce like, hey, we'll do season 1 once it gets funded, and then they just like, you know, like how companies used to operate with like a budget and then staying inside of a budget. They'll be like, hey, if we get this many pre-orders, then that will create the budget for the remaster, and then they stay in the budget. So I mean, I think it'd be cool if they could do like a fan funded 4K remaster of this Voyager DS9, and I would absolutely love to see a 4K remaster of the original series as well, but that is a topic for another day. But in the words of this little special effects background artist, there's nothing better than real, and that's the reason this is a conversation, is because the footage is sitting there on 35mm just waiting.
It's actually been really, really cool to work with models. Obviously, you don't see that very much, if at all, today. Everything's obviously done in CG, and you don't get better than real. I mean, you can get all that detail in the model and the ship, and real lights that emit. CG's amazing, but you still can't quite beat real at this point.
I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Please let me know what you think. And Paramount/CBS, do it. Thanks for watching. Bye.